Welcome back, guys. So in our last video we have talked about indexes, what are those, and how they impact the result set. So in this video we are talking about categories of the index. So there are basically two major categories we have categorized our indexes. One is clustered index and another one is non-clustered index. So clustered index stores the actual data at the leaf level. Like if you want to fetch a data, that it is we will get that data at the leaf level. We get the data at that position. Cluster indexes sort and store the data row in the table or view based on their key values. They If we have cluster index on the id, so the data of the table is stored on the disk on the id. Okay, these are the column included in the index definition. So um, we need to define that column on which we create the cluster index on the definition of the table. There can be only one cluster index on a table because the data can be sorted in only one way on a disk. If that can be ascending, descending, or based on a particular column, the data can be stored on a disk only one way. So we can have only one cluster index per table. The only time the data rows in table are stored and sorted order is when the table contains a clustered index. Okay, if we do not have a cluster index, then the data on the disk will not be sorted and stored on the particular uh, order. If we do not have a cluster index, then the data will not be stored on a sorted level. It can be one row is here and second row can be one row is one and the second row will be 99. So that's not on a particular order. When a table has a cluster index, the table is called a cluster table, and in other case, if we not with non-cluster table. If a table has no cluster index, its data rows are stored in an unordered structure. We call that as heap. Like uh, we call we call that table as a heap. Like one row is here and second row can be anywhere in the table. On that and on also on the disk, it can be anywhere. It's not sorted in any order. So this is a cluster index. What are non-cluster index? These are have a separate from the have a structure separate from the data rows. Like in cluster index, we have a particular order of the table data on a table, but in non-cluster index, they do not store the data on a sorted order. A non-cluster index contains the non-cluster index key value, and each key value entry has a pointer to the data row. It only has pointer to the data row, contains the key value, but the cluster index has the values, not the pointers. Okay, so this is the basic difference. This contains the actual data at the leaf level, and these contains the pointers at the leaf level. The leaf node of node cluster contains only the value. Okay, so the index column and the row locators of the actual data rather than the data itself. So as we already talked, we have only one clustered index in the table, but non-clustered index we can have as many as 999 on a particular table. Also, query engine performs an additional steps in terms of non-clustered index, as it is going to the leaf node, then going to the indexed column, and then the data row. And in cluster index, it going to the leaf level where it is the data. So only once two steps it is getting the data, but here it is going to three steps. We need to go to the index, then the pointer, and then the data. Okay, so this is the main categories of cluster index, basic two categories. So we also have two types of the indexes, like composite and unique indexes. What is composite index? Indexes contain more than one column is called composite index. Like we can create index on one or two columns of a table. So maximum we can combine 16 columns in a composite index. We can create a 16 column, combine 16 columns and create a composite index. Both clustered and non-clustered indexes can be composite. What is unique index? A unique index is automatically created when you define a primary key or unique key constraint. If you do not have a primary key, then it's not a unique. Then also we can have a unique constraint on a table. But if we have a primary key, then it is a unique, as we already know. So unique index is automatically created when you create a primary key or unique constraint. So that index is created, but we can create that as well. Not when you define a primary key constraint on a table, SQL Server automatically creates a unique clustered index if a cluster index is not already there. Okay, so if we have already a cluster index, then data is stored on a sorted order already. But if we do not have a cluster index, then data is not sorted for the table on the disk. But we can create a cluster index there or a primary key, then the data will be stored on a sorted order. Okay, so these are the categories and types of indexes. In our next videos, we'll see what are the design considerations we need to take care when we are creating the indexes. Okay, thank you.